Hey guys, sorry it took me so long to record a part 6. I lost my voice for about 3 days and it's still not fully back if you can't tell, but it's getting there. But I wanted to try and get these recorded as fast as I can because by the end of this week I will no longer have a roof over my head or internet to record these or computer to record them on. So I apologize for if anything sounds rushed or if my voice fades out and I have to stop or anything like that. So I kind of remember where I left off on part 5. I know I'm talking about being in Texas and being at, I think I called him Ken's house. It's so the story's going there. I'm pretty sure I told you guys about how I was jumped with a knife walking from the bus stop after work one day, and how I almost got ran down by a car thinking I was a crack whore. Other things that happened there. One time after James had gone to bed, this is what got us kicked out of where we were at. I don't know what Ken was on, but he asked me to sit on his lap. And I straight up said no. And when I told James, he questioned me, and my story never changed, never altered. Same story every time. And Ken's kept changing. So he had his friend coming pick us up, and we're gonna go stay at her apartment. And while I was waiting in her Jeep, I guess James punched Ken and broke his jaw. So, we moved into this apartment. It was a 2-bedroom. But there was a lot more people living there than the bedrooms could hold. So I slept on the couch. And James slept on the floor in the living room. We stayed there for a little bit, and then we moved in with a different friend of James's. Nice big house. Just this guy, friend of his, and we stayed there for maybe a month and then moved back into the apartment. But we got kicked out of there because I refused to do his friend's laundry. I didn't feel it was, well, I was uncomfortable with it because I was 16. I didn't want to touch his underwear. He's at that age, you know. I don't want to do your laundry. I'm not your maid. But once back in the apartment that had too many people, me and James decided to get hand-fasted, which I guess is a Wiccan ceremony of marriage. And after that, I decided I wanted to go home. But getting home was going to be more hard than anticipated because we had no money. So a friend of ours that was staying at that apartment decided to help us by selling jewelry down on this strip, which is kind of like, reminds me of New Orleans, this bar strip. But, so we went down and helped her sell jewelry, and we sold off all of our CDs that we had with us, and raised just like around $200 to $300. So me, James, and the friend who owned the apartment and her boyfriend, and this girl, she had multiple personality disorder. So sometimes she went by one name, sometimes she went by another name. she was very interesting, but it was okay. So we started driving back, and we got all the way to Pueblo, Colorado, before running out of money and running out of gas. So I called my mom collect from payphone in Pueblo at the gas station and told her where we were and our situation, and they drove the 3 hours from Denver down to Pueblo to get me. And they were nice enough to fill up my friend's gas tank, and so they could get to the apartment that me and James had gotten with a friend of ours prior to leaving, so they could figure out what they were going to do and how they were going to get back to Texas. Most interesting car ride in the backseat of my parents' car with James, pregnant, back to Denver. And a couple days after we got back, found out I had lice. Had to cut off all my hair. My hair got cut off to like right about here. I had to go through lice treatments immediately because of my pregnancy. If I went any further into my pregnancy without the lice treatments, I wasn't going to be able to get rid of the suckers before having the baby. So, got on my parents' insurance and had my 17th birthday party, pregnant like a balloon. And then my parents wouldn't let James stay at their condo. So it was just me staying there, and he would bounce around from friends' apartments and motel rooms. Even staying in motel rooms with my brother, which was like in the worst part of town where it was all, like, you could find one motel room, they found like 4 or 5 crack pipes hidden in the walls and doors and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of the pregnancy in my mom's house, and when I went into labor, it was kind of funny. It was October 19th at 1 in the morning. I woke up with what I thought was the worst gas cramp of my life, and I'd had a pretty rough pregnancy with yeast infections the whole time. I used to fall asleep with an ice pack in between my legs because it was so bad. The itching and the burning, it'd keep me up all night, and I'd cry and scratch myself to sleep. So I had to start sleeping with it numb. Yes, it is the Godfather behind me. You see that? So after this really bad, what I thought was gas cramp passed, I fell back asleep. 13 minutes later, I got woke up again. And I'm starting to think, okay, maybe this isn't gas cramps. Maybe this is something different. But after it passed, I fell back asleep again. And exactly 13 minutes later, I woke up with the same pain. So I went into my parents' room and I said, Mom, Dad, I think I'm having contractions. They asked me how far apart are they. I said 13 minutes, and they said, okay, how long do you want to wait for them to be apart before we go to the hospital? And I said, well, I don't know. Let's go with 5 minutes, I guess. And so me and my mom sat on the couch in the den of their condo, and they got to 5 minutes apart. And so my dad, he puts a towel in the back seat, makes me sit in the back, and we're driving to the hospital. My mom makes him pull off into a 7-Eleven so she can cash out from the ATM so she can get food from the cafeteria. Mike's sitting back there in labor in the back seat, and my mom's running into 7-Eleven. But we get there, and the contractions are about 4 minutes apart by this time. And I'm sitting there trying to read a book. Wasn't happening. Can't even remember the book I was reading. I think it was one of the Anne Rice books, but I can't remember. Hold on a second. Let me check what this is. Okay, sorry about that. They'll probably go off one more time here in a second. But, we also couldn't find James. He was MIA. We had no idea where he'd stayed that night. He'd gotten kicked out of the motel the night before. And so my dad changed the voicemail on the answering machine, and then also taped 50 cents to the door with a note saying that I'd gone into labor and to call his cell phone with the phone number. Then, by 7 in the morning, I got an epidural, and my mom had to be there for me for that because there was still no sign of James showing up. But by 7:30, 7:45, he called, and they went and picked him up, and he showed up. When I was pushing Michael out, he came out with the umbilical cord around his neck. My mother and my aunt were holding my legs, so they had to cut the umbilical cord immediately, which splattered my aunt's shirt. And we still have that shirt because she ended up putting Michael's baby feet on it. Once they had done it for the birth certificate, she went over with his feet still covered in ink and popped him on her shirt. But he was 7 pounds, 9 ounces. My biggest baby out of all three. I have stretch marks on my calves because of him. I have stretch marks everywhere because of him. He was my biggest baby. And he's still my biggest baby because he's now 6 feet tall. So, James refused to see his child born. He would not look. He would not do any of the things that a normal dad would do at the birth of their child. I think it was even hard to get him to hold him. I breastfed all 3 of my children, but only for about a month for each of them because I wasn't a big-chested person to start, so I got up to a nice set of almost double Ds when I was breastfeeding, which was nice, but when you breastfeed and you stop, when you stop, it's like deflating the air out of a tire. And after each child, they got smaller, so I hate my chest now, but that's just me. That's my insecurities, not anybody else's. Sorry. When 2 days after Michael was born, my brother and James went to Ohio to work, and I was taking care of Michael at my mom's condo. And I'm pretty sure Michael doesn't want me to share the story, but at the same time does, because he loves the fact that he did something to me that was gross, I guess. He was crying, and I knew it was feeding time, but he was, uh, hold on. Hold on a second, sorry. Um, but, so I was sitting there with nothing but a pair of underwear on. And I noticed that he had a sticky diaper. So I went to go change him, and, well, I guess he wasn't done. And so he pooped or took a bigger shit after the diaper was down, and sprayed me with it. So I still had to feed him. So I finished cleaning him up, got a fresh diaper on him, took a baby wipe to my chest, got my chest all cleaned up, fed him, wrapped him up, put him back to sleep, and went and ran to the shower. Yeah, he shot me with shit. Little shit. But, I still love him. Yeah, I'll always love him because he's gone through a lot of the stuff that is in the next installments with me, and I feel sorry for him going through all of this stuff. And I hate myself for having him go through all this stuff too, because it was something I never wanted for him, because I was just trying to do the right thing and do what I could to take care of him. Oh yeah, sorry guys. My daughter got me this. She went to Comic-Con. A friend got her a ticket. Because it was her friend's birthday. And so she went with a friend of hers to Comic-Con, and she brought me back my own little Daryl. Because Norman Reedus, awesome actor who plays Daryl, when I got into the more recent situations that I was in, a lot of his quotes and sayings helped me get through a lot of things. Helped me stay positive, helped me stay calm. That and my best friend. So, thank you to Norman, and thank you to Steve, and thank you to my aunt, Kay, who also helped me get through a lot of this that I went through. Because I'd probably be dead now if it wasn't for them three. I know it's kind of funny to say that to one person that I've never met in person, but I've extended it out to him. I've told him, told Norman, even though he's but it'd be nice to meet him and tell him face to face instead of just through a message that I extended out to him through social medias. But anyway, right before Michael's 2-week appointment, James told me that his mother had been diagnosed with colon cancer, and that he wanted his family to be able to meet their grandchild before she passed away, and asked if I would move to Texas with him to stay with his family. I was all for it, but my mom would not let me leave the state again unless it was legal, unless I was his wife. So we drove over to the DMV, got our marriage license, went to Michael's 2-week doctor's appointment, and then went over to my mom's bishop's house and was married in my mom's bishop's living room. In one day. We went out to dinner afterwards, where my mom had gotten us a small little cake with 2 little bears on it, and James shoved the cake up my nose. I couldn't breathe. I cried. I knew right then that for some reason this was not going to work. I kind of already knew that I didn't really want to marry James. But I wanted James to be in his son's life. I wanted Michael to have a father. I wanted James's family to be able to know their grandchild. I didn't want to take that away from them. I was very family orientated. So I had Michael when I was 17. So I made my grandparents at a very young age. Let's see. My parents were in their 40s when they became grandparents. I'm not at that age yet, so I tell my kids all the time, I'm not ready to be a grandma. Please don't make me one yet. But I guess my adopted stepchildren are not waiting. So, my recent ex, I guess his daughter is now pregnant, 6 months. Congratulations, Michaela. And one of my other exes, his daughter, who's 18, is pregnant. Congratulations, Kylie. I'm excited for hers. Michaela, you're 15, you're too young. Your world's about to be completely changed, but regardless, I still love you. You'll always be my daughter in a way, no matter what happened between me and your dad. Okay, so the next day after me and James were married, which his father was present for, drove us back to Texas. Pulling a little U-Haul behind with all of Michael's stuff in it. Crib, clothes, diapers, stuff like that. I didn't really take much of my own stuff, mainly just his stuff. My dresser I had painted, which I wish I still had, but I only have the drawer fronts of anymore. But they still say Little Ray's Nursery Corner or something like that. And I painted Winnie the Pooh and Tigger on it. I was trying to hold on to it so that way when Michael had a child of his own, he could use that for his child's bedroom. But it's gone. So back in Texas I was staying at James's dad's house, and James lost 5 or 6 jobs in the first 6 months of us being out there. So I went and got on food stamps and was able to feed us, but I was not able to find a job. I applied everywhere. And James couldn't keep one. So our marriage was falling apart right off the get-go. And I hung in there the best I could, dealing with James's disabled father, who was a vet. And then at the same time, James's mother was having issues because her marriage was falling apart. She came to find out that her husband was married to another woman at the same time as being married to her. So they ended up divorcing, and she ended up moving into a little trailer on James's sister's property. And this was out in Kilgore, the Kilgore area of Texas. I found out that my friend that I'd gone through a lot with in Colorado had had a baby around the same time, a month prior to me, and that she had moved down to San Antonio. And she offered for us to come stay with her. So we did. But before we did, there was this girl, she was 16. She lived kind of diagonally across from us in a trailer, in the same trailer court as James's dad. And she was married to an abusive Mexican man who was much older than her. And she was illiterate. She didn't know how to read or anything. So I befriended her so she'd have a friend. You know, she had nobody to talk to. And I started to teach her how to read, how to write. And one time she'd come over with her baby, and I threw Michael in the car seat and her and her baby, which was in her arms, in the back seat, and took off because she was running from, she had a black eye, she was beat to crap. So we were running. So I was running to my mother-in-law's, who was still with her husband at the time. And I remember speeding through a school zone when the speed limit was supposed to be down, and I got pulled over. And I thought I was going to be in deep crap because I had no shoes on. I'm speeding in a school zone. I had a woman in the back seat with a child, not in a car seat. And I explained to the officer what was going on. And he asked me where I was going. And I gave him detailed directions. And he said, okay, don't speed the rest of the way through getting there. But you go ahead and get there. Get her there. And he took off towards the direction of her house. So we get down there, and my mother-in-law's not home. And so I asked my friend, well, what do you want to do? Do you want me to take you to the police department? Do you want me to go back? What do you want me to do? And she had me take her to the police department because that's what her mother wanted me to do, or wanted her to do. Well, I took her to the police department. Her mother went and picked her up from there and took her right back to him. And made her drop the charges against him. It'd be like what my mom would do. Anyway. So we moved down to San Antonio. I was staying with my friend. And it was 3 adults and 2 children about to be 1 year old living in an efficiency or studio apartment. And it was crowded. And there's no privacy, and we were always in each other's faces. And then 9/11 happened. September 11th. Shortly after my friend's daughter's first birthday. And since the gas prices dropped dramatically to below $1 a gallon, James's mother decided to come get us. Because I couldn't get a job, and James was working at Papa John's, and he was only working 9 hours a week, so we weren't surviving. So she came and got us, and we went back to Kilgore, Overton area. I was staying with James's mother in a trailer on his sister's property, which she had like a big thing of land. She had cows. It was a farm. She had chickens and horses and a pond. And I would ride a riding lawnmower just to go get the mail for my mother-in-law. And things were starting to look a little better. But I'll get into that part of the story in the next installment. I know this one's not as long. It's just I have things I gotta get done real quick. Even though I don't see the point, since my mom's not gonna give me an extension on before kicking me out, so I don't see why I have to do my chores. But I better get them done because it keeps the tension down in the house. And yesterday, my youngest came to me and was in tears because he doesn't want his mommy to go anywhere. So I might be able to work that angle. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But thank you guys for watching. I'm starting to get more views on these, so I'm glad my story's starting to get out there. And like I said, I know there's some stories that I've skipped or missed, and I'll try my best to try and get like a filler video in there for you. But the rest of my life in Texas will be in part 7. And let's just say I guess I could tell a little more. I was finally able to get a job, but the only job I was able to get was in exotic dancer. At 17, I was an exotic dancer. No, 18. When I hit 18, I became an exotic dancer, and James didn't like that very much. He used to sit out in the parking lot every time I worked and tell every guy that went in there, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I had a lot of really cool regulars, though. This one guy was a pool table champion, and he was teaching me how to do trick shots and stuff, and then he was like an undefeated pool champion, and we were playing around just to be fun and have fun, and he lost to me. He said I was the first person he ever lost to, and it's all because he couldn't stop staring at my ass. But those are the fun memories. I mean, I love the girls I worked with. They were great. They treated me like family. They were awesome. It's where I went to my first sex toy party. It was with one of those girls had hosted one, and it was a couples party, so James came with me. But, I mean, I had a lot of fun working there. I made $200 a night on average. Busier nights I made about 500. So I guess I was doing something right. And I still kind of look like I did back then. A few more stretch marks because I had 2 more kids, but I haven't changed much since then. I no longer have braces. I had all my teeth then. I had to have a lot of teeth removed for infection more recently. And then another thing that happened there was that James's father died. And shortly after we discovered that is when we decided we would move back to Colorado. But the thing was I'd also lost my job as an exotic dancer because James decided to come and start a fight with me at work. So they fired me. But then James's dad had died in a car crash. He was coming back from the VA hospital. He just remarried, and he lost control of his van, and it rolled a few times, and he was killed immediately. And his new wife, unfortunately, she ended up becoming paralyzed. So, rest in peace, James's dad. Sorry you never got to meet your granddaughter. She's beautiful. And I'm sorry you never got to see Michael grow up, but I'm glad you got to meet him. He's gonna be 17 next month. So I know you're still looking down and watching over him a lot, so I thank you for that. And that's, I guess, where I'm gonna leave it. But I'll tell you guys all about what happened after we moved back to Colorado and spent time out here and trying to start my life out here, and then Claudia's entry into the world, which almost killed me. Another time I knocked on death's door. But till next time, guys, be safe, and I love you all. Bye.